You've seen the horrible videos, you've done your research, and you've decided that enough is enough, and you've realised that you don't need all these animal products in your life. So what do you do next? Hey guys, it's Gabrielle here from VeganVoice, and this video is going to be explaining how to approach the topic of going vegan with your parents. So I just want to start off by saying that you've got to remember, if you're going to try and ask your parents if you can go vegan, it's going to be quite frustrating for them at first, because first off, it's a diet that they may never have actually dealt with before. They may be sorting out meals for multiple siblings as well. If you have younger siblings, they're going to feel like you're getting special treatment because you're eating differently. Then there's cost as well. It is possible to keep vegan diet costs down, but that's mainly if you learn to cook things from scratch using beans and lentils. If you're cooking things mainly from processed food, which is quick and easy, which is what a family would be more likely to do, the cost can skyrocket. So that's where some of these tips come in. So what do you do if this happens and your parents are really stressed about it? What can you do? Well, one of the first tips I'll give you is, if your parents are really worried about money and you're really desperate and passionate about going vegan or vegetarian, first thing that you could do to try and help this is get yourself a part-time job and offer to pay towards the food. Even go to the supermarket with them, cut down the time on their shopping so that you can go get your bits, they get their bits, and go to checkout together. Maybe teach them a little bit about how to quickly check labels, like look for the bold allergens first and then look for the vegetarian logo, and then you can pretty much say that it's vegan unless you're really strict vegan and you go into all the food colourings and things, which is a bit more complicated. I wouldn't suggest bringing that up with family though. If you live with your family, as frustrating as it could be, don't go into the nitty-gritty of it like that. Keep that bit to yourself, because if the more you complicate things, the less likely they are to kind of help you with it. In a way, sometimes you have to meet halfway if you want to do something like this. It can be frustrating, but you're not going to be with your parents forever, so at least know that you're doing your best that you can do. If your parents are really worried about the time it takes, or space in the oven and things like that, you could offer to cook your meals beforehand, meal prep, if it's to do with space in the kitchen. Reheat your meals potentially. Just be careful about reheating some stuff, because my mum keeps telling me that you can poison yourself with that. Luckily I haven't done that yet. Yeah, so you can do meal preps. If your parents are worried about time with preparing different meals, and they're worried because they don't know how to cater for a vegan and how to keep you healthy, do your own research. Talk to them about it, because your parents are going to worry. If you are doing something that they've never done and they've never really known anyone who has done it, you need to do your research and you need to tell them about it to help kind of relax them a bit. So tell them where you're getting your protein and your iron. Even if you get that question 50 times a day, just keep going over it. See if you can remember some of the comparisons between how many grams of this and how many grams of that has how much protein. That will help ease their minds. So if you're cooking for yourself, learn some recipes. Make sure you've got a few healthy ones under your belt as well. Don't just go all unhealthy, because believe it or not, it is possible to be vegan and extremely unhealthy. Even if everything is pretty much plants. So yeah, learn some healthy meals so your parents aren't worried about that. I just want to say as well, if your parents are worried about money issues, you want to cook things from scratch. You want to learn some proper recipes. Use beans and lentils and things like that. Use nuts to make nut sauces and cauliflower to help make a nice white sauce, cheesy white sauce. Use nutritional yeast. I know that sounds really odd for someone who isn't vegan, but nutritional yeast is basically this really nutritious. It's got B12 and loads of other things. B12 seems to be the buzzword. Even though there are plenty of non-vegans who do have deficiencies in B12, it seems to be quite equal. It's the first thing people tend to think of. So this has loads of that. Basically it has a cheesy kind of flavour. You can get it in Holland and Barrett. Some people call it nooch. So if you see nooch in a recipe, it means nutritional yeast. So yeah, use that in your cheese sauces as well. It cuts the price, because then you're not actually using the vegan cheese, which is a lot more expensive to make that. Instead you're using things that taste like it. Cauliflower can make things more creamy in a sauce as well, so that's a good idea too. Another option is if your parents are worried because they like to have things that look similar to each other, or if you have siblings, younger siblings, and your parents are worried that they're going to notice you're eating different, What you could do is make similar things. So you could still make like a cottage pie, but instead of using vegan mince, which are more expensive, use beans and things, and just kind of move the potatoes so that the young siblings can't see as easily. If they're not really paying much attention, you should be fine. They probably won't notice. You can make vegan lasagna. I haven't actually tried that one yet, but making a white sauce again, using nutritional yeast and putting a little bit of actual vegan cheese on top to help it crisp. So yeah, you can still do a lot of recipes you already did. Making nut roasts and things for roast dinners, then you're still eating the same as your family. Another thing as well, if your parents are the ones to feed you and things and they're really worried about cooking for you, if they're the ones doing all the cooking, maybe offer to transition slowly like I did. I mean, I didn't offer to do this, it kind of happened completely accidentally. Start by getting rid of fish out of your diet, and then maybe 2 weeks later get rid of meat, and then slowly they'll learn to adapt recipes towards it, until eventually you've got all your animal products out and you've replaced it with your other nutritional things that you need instead. When you actually sit your parents down to talk about going vegan or vegetarian, try not to do it over the phone, unless you're like me and you live away from home half the time. Try and do it face to face so you can explain things better. Keep calm. If they shout at you, if they get angry, take a step away. Don't bring it up for the rest of the day. Wait until they're calm, wait until they're in a good mood, and then maybe start talking about it again. Do a bit more research, because chances are if they're angry it's because they're worried about you. You need to make sure that they know that you can still be healthy. So like I say, do some more research, tell them tell them the statistics. If you want to be taken seriously, you need to know what you're talking about. I myself have been quite lucky because my mum and my stepdad are both actually vegetarian, semi-vegan I think. They mainly cut out the eggs and things. Eggs not so much, milk completely, because we were dairy free ages ago, as you will have heard of in my other video if you've watched it about how I went vegan, because we thought we had allergies. So my mum had an illness that I'm not going to go into, but anyway, she found that living on a vegetarian diet made her feel healthier and better, so my stepdad joined in. When I went vegan, they were completely accepting of it. My mum actually gave me advice when I called her up on the phone saying, I really want to do this, but it's going to stress out my gran too much. So it certainly helps to have family members who see where you're coming from. So yeah, my brother doesn't really care because obviously he doesn't feed me and he's quite environmentally minded. Gran and my granddad have come to terms with it. They were okay with it the whole time. The only issue was obviously money, time, cooking and all of that. My dad wasn't quite as enthusiastic, but you've got to remember that your parents worry about you, and he's always lived, well, being a typical British person, always lived off typical British food, which is very meat-based, whereas my mum and my stepdad live on very Caribbean-style food, because that's my stepdad's background. So yeah. So my dad worried about how I was going to get my protein and my iron and several other things. I think my stepmum worries about that a bit as well, from what she's said. But generally they don't mind. They've told me a few times, but generally they'll listen to me and they don't mind, and they try to cater for me as well. And I just try to help them out with that if I can. So yeah. So I wish you all the best of luck. I'm going to do some videos in the future about budgeting your food, budgeting your toiletries, veganising foods that you love, and how to eat out at a restaurant as a vegan. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this. Please drop a like, leave a comment with any feedback or video suggestions, and please share this with your friends because it honestly helps. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. See you next time.